Hello and welcome to episode 92 of the How to Survive podcast. My name is Joe, and joining me, as ever, is Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
You're very well, thanks. Excited this week to talk about a big film.
Yeah.
Yeah. The movie, of course, was released this year. Stars Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, and Michelle Rodriguez. It is Fast and the Furious 8. We just got back from the cinema where we saw it. What do you think of it, Chris?
Well, I particularly like the alternative title, The Fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
It's very clever marketing. Action-packed romp, Joe.
Yeah.
Lots of vehicular action.
What do you think of the whole family vibe?
Oh, it's very interesting, I think. Yeah, sort of giving an emotional core, and I wouldn't say it's an exaggeration to say that it's probably helped a lot of men open up about their emotions. The Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was your favourite part of the film?
Oh, I think my favourite part was the action-packed chase through New York City, where Charlize Theron's character had taken control of all the autonomous cars and causing havoc, Joe.
Hello again, episode 92. And that transmission can only mean one thing. We have to cancel our Fate of the Furious coverage in favour of 1996's Mars Attacks.
Yeah, directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And one of your favourite films.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get
historically.
Yeah.
Historically, one of my favourite films. In as much as, Shrek was probably my favourite film at some point.
Yeah, when you were sort of 21, 22.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mars Attacks is an ensemble cast of very famous people.
Yeah.
Very talented people. Many Oscar winners among them.
Mm-hmm.
A James Bond.
Yeah.
Who was currently in office as James Bond.
Yeah. A Joker.
Yeah. And the little girl from Leon. All in it. Now, we're going to talk about the film, which is Mars Attacks, and it's about Mars attacking Earth.
Yeah.
And there will be spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen...
The title in itself is a spoiler.
It is. But can it be are there any other films? Like A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you enough.
Gone Girl.
The girl on the train. She's on the train.
She's on a train.
Yeah. She gets off it, though.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
There's a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. There's a chamber.
Yeah.
There are some secrets. Anyway.
There's spoilers ahead for Mars Attacks. We're about to recap the plot.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you've had 31 years? 21 years.
21 years.
Yeah.
We're not in our 30s.
Yet.
So,
Yet. You've had 21 years to see it.
Mm-hmm.
21 years. What have you been doing with your time if you haven't seen it? It is a quality film. So let's recap the plot, shall we?
Yeah.
Mars Attacks tells the story of Mars attacking.
Yeah. Amazingly.
Yeah. Our story begins on a rural road. A pair of farmers are surprised when an entire herd of cows stampedes past them on fire. Before they can begin to question what's going on, a flying saucer pops up from behind the farmhouse and flies into space. We realise that the saucer was a scout ship sent ahead for a huge invasion, with hundreds of ships now rising out of the canals of Mars and flying towards Earth in formation. President James Dale receives the news and begins discussing the issue with his advisors. The group decides to address the nation, informing the USA and the world that flying saucers have surrounded Earth. Talk show host Natalie Lake is delighted to have the chance to interview Professor Donald Kessler, a White House scientist, about what the flying saucers could mean, much to the chagrin of her boyfriend, news reporter Jason Stone. During the interview, in which Natalie and Donald flirt, and which is watched by all of the principal cast of the movie, the broadcast is interrupted by the Martians. An alien in a metallic robe with a giant bulbous head begins talking in an alien language, which sounds something like this. At the end of the broadcast, the Martian draws a full circle with his finger, which donut shop worker Richie Norris, watching at work, says must be the international sign of the donut. After the broadcast, Professor Kessler shows the president and his advisors an anatomical poster of the aliens. He postulates that their giant brains suggest telepathic powers, and that their advanced civilization suggests that they are a peaceful people. One of Kessler's colleagues reveals his translation machine, which he believes can decode the Martian message. The translation begins, and it says, "All green of skin, 800 centuries ago, their bodily fluids include the birth of half-breeds. For the fundamental truth, self-determination of the cosmos, for dark is the suede that mows like a harvest." "What the hell does that mean?" asks General Decker. The Martians relay a set of coordinates in the Nevada desert where they plan to land. The president's team rush to decide whether to greet them with a red carpet or a row of tanks. The warmongering General Decker favours violence, while his peacemongering colleague General Casey favours diplomacy. The president agrees with General Casey and says that Casey should be the one to greet the Martians. When the Martians land, the desert is filled with thousands of spectators and assembled news crews, including Natalie Lake and her boyfriend Jason Stone. The alien ambassador speaks, and the scientist with the translation machine translates the message. "We come in peace," says the machine. A hippie in the crowd releases a dove, which startles the Martian ambassador. He draws his gun and shoots the dove, before opening fire on the assembled crowd of both army and civilians. Jason Stone is killed in the chaos, and Natalie Lake is carried unconscious onto a flying saucer, which then retreats. Professor Kessler remains optimistic, stating that the aliens could have just misread the dove as a symbol of war. President Dale broadcasts a message to the Martians, informing them that this is all a misunderstanding, and inviting them to attend Congress. The Martians receive the message and begin laughing. The next day, Congress welcomes the Martian ambassador, but once again, he pulls his gun and opens fire, killing all of Congress. He does, however, capture Professor Kessler. Aboard the flying saucer, Professor Kessler is surprised to see his entire body has been removed, and he is now a floating head, but he is pleased to see Natalie Lake is also aboard. Unfortunately, her head has been transposed onto the body of a chihuahua. That night, the president's press secretary, Jerry Ross, is cruising the streets looking for a woman to spend the night with. He notices a silent woman with unusually large hair standing outside the White House and invites her in. He realises to his surprise that she is actually an alien, but too little too late, as he is quickly killed before he can call for help.
Sad times.
The Martian removes the woman's face, which was a mask, and begins stalking the corridors of the White House. Once in the president's bedroom, it is distracted by a barking dog, and the Secret Service are able to compromise the Martian to a permanent end. The Martians now launch their full attack, first invading Washington DC, where First Lady Marsha Dale is killed by a falling chandelier, while President Dale escapes. The Martians then proceed to deface Mount Rushmore, use the Easter Island heads as bowling pins, and blow up the Taj Mahal whilst posing for a photo in front of it. That night, the Martians invade the president's secret bunker. They kill everyone in the room, but President Dale gives them an impassioned speech on the virtues of friendship over war. They appear moved and offer a handshake, which he accepts, but the Martian's hand detaches and crawls onto the president's back before stabbing him through the heart. As the Martians ravage Las Vegas, the rest of the ensemble cast now gets some screen time. First, sleazy casino owner Art Land is killed when his casino is blown up by the Martians. This drives his wife Barbara Land to seek the help of Byron Williams, a former world heavyweight boxer who now works as a greeter in the casino. She says she has a plane which can fly them to safety, if only they could find a suitable pilot. Luckily, Tom Jones bursts in on the conversation and reveals that yes, he can fly a plane. Of course he can. It's 1996 and he's Tom Jones.
Yep.
The group are joined by a rude gambler and another casino employee called Sheila. On their way to the plane, the rude gambler is killed by a Martian. The rest of the team reaches an airplane hangar, but discovers that a large group of Martians is stood on the airstrip receiving orders. Byron volunteers to head out and fight the Martian leader in hand-to-hand combat, causing a distraction which allows the others to escape. It works, the plane flies away, but Byron is soon overwhelmed by a swarm of Martians. Meanwhile, donut shop worker Richie Norris is trying to rescue his grandmother during the invasion. He arrives at the old people's home to discover the aliens about to shoot her in the head with a gigantic cannon. She hadn't noticed this because she's been listening to her record player with her eyes closed.
Yeah.
Richie alerts his grandma, and she reels around, pulling out the headphones. The song Indian Love Call by Slim Whitman begins to play out loud.
We all know and love it.
Yeah, let's hear a bit of that now.
When I'm calling you,
the song has a surprising effect on the Martians, whose heads begin to explode. Richie heads to a radio station to broadcast the song, a method soon picked up by the military, who now broadcast it around the world. The Martians are soon overwhelmed by the song, their heads exploding, and their attack craft all begin crashing. This includes the flying saucer holding Professor Kessler and Natalie Lake, who share a true love's kiss before crashing into the sea. In the aftermath, the president's daughter, Taffy, who is now the only person seemingly able to carry out presidential duties, presents the Congressional Medal of Honor to Richie and his grandmother.
Because obviously the presidency is a line of succession in the direct members of the family.
Exactly. Byron, the boxer, is revealed to have survived his ordeal somehow, and he arrives back home to his wife and 2 sons. Barbara, Cindy, who I called Sheila earlier, apologies, but that goes to show you what sort of a character she is.
Yeah.
Barbara, Cindy, and Tom Jones emerge from a cave on Lake Tahoe where they'd gone to hide. And seeing the spacecraft crash into the water, Tom Jones begins to sing.
it ain't unusual, eh? Tom, can I have an autograph? Anybody got a pen?
Not unusual, Chris. What do you think of Mars Attacks?
I can see why the 8-year-old Joe Sherville would have loved it.
He did, yeah.
I didn't love it. Why don't you lead the discussion in terms of the things that you like, maybe the things that you thought you liked but have changed your mind on since, and then I'll sort of interject
with your criticisms of
Yeah.
my beliefs. All right. Well, Mars Attacks is a simple, easy to follow, easy to buy alien invasion comedy.
Easy to buy, as
Yeah.
in you can order it on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. No,
Yeah.
it's easy to buy. That you understand all the characters' motivations at all times.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's simplistic, but
what you mean is it's shallow.
yeah, but we'll come to that.
Okay.
The characters are fairly well drawn out in places, but mostly not. But the winning ticket is the aliens themselves, and I think they are what I loved about it as a child, and probably the strongest part of the movie.
Okay.
That they're scary and creepy, but also funny.
Okay, here's what I would say is
Yeah.
that they have suffered significantly from being all CGI.
Yeah.
Much like Jason X last week, the computer generated graphics in this film are sort of like PlayStation 1 standard.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not aged particularly well, I don't think. Not that I've seen it in the 90s, but I think it doesn't look great.
I think the
nowadays.
close-ups of the aliens' faces are okay.
But they don't move. The animation on it is like it's clearly quite rigid and like, didn't Toy Story come out in 1996 as well?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you compare it to that, it's there's no comparison really. But it's probably not a film that's aimed at an adult man.
No,
and
like all Tim Burton movies.
Yes, exactly that. But this one especially, it's got like a very camp, silly, fun tone. Like even the violence in it, and obviously scores of people die. It's all like you're melted into a skeleton sort of thing. Very colourful and all that sort of thing. So it's basically like a sort of my first like
Space Invasion.
Yeah, my first adult movie for like an 11-year-old or something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so, because it's got an element of jeopardy and everything, but it's still got this sort of childish silliness.
Yeah, I mean, none of the deaths have any weight to them.
No,
Like, you don't care about any characters.
no.
You kind of just want them to get shot. And there is, I don't know. There's some comedy to it. I think there's comedy. There's jokes to be had. But there's There's a scene where some nuns are visiting the casino, and they tell the world heavyweight champion that they're big boxing fans.
Yeah.
And it's jokes like that which make it quite funny. And like the president is watching all the broadcast and stuff, eating like a TV dinner in front of his TV.
Yeah, like I mean, I think a lot of the success of the film is owed to the insane cast, like absolutely incredible cast.
Yeah.
Like, just in terms of like franchise and well-known films, I made a list of like the films that one film removed from this, basically.
Okay.
Or, you know,
so if you had
films that the actors in this film have
also
also been in. So obviously you've got Natalie Portman, so that's Star Wars, Leon, Black Swan, you know, anything else that Jackie, you know, all that sort of thing. Pierce Brosnan, obviously the James Bond franchise. Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker, Sex and the City.
Yeah.
If you don't like the films, then obviously, which I don't, obviously, the HBO series, I believe, is meant to be very good. Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Batman, obviously Tim Burton film. The Shining, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
Glenn Close, Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
And even Jack Black in School of Rock. Like, you've got a sort of, just like every character seems to be, like every minor character is the equivalent of what would be like a celebrity cameo in a normal B movie. Exactly. Like last week we had Jason X and David Cronenberg rocks up for like literally 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got that all the way through this film, but all of the people who are doing these cameos are like A-list
like the top
film
people.
stars, even if they weren't at the time. Like watching it back now, you're like, oh my god, like Natalie Portman, who is it an Oscar winner, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And like, you know, like
Black Swan.
Jack Nicholson, it's an incredible cast, absolutely incredible, especially for a film that's this weird and you know,
well,
an ensemble cast as well. Like, you know, half of these actors get like 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, Natalie Portman has, I think, 2 interactions with other members of the cast. Most of the time she's watching TV. And then at the end, she gets to meet Luke Hass's character.
Yeah, exactly. Like
but she never meets her dad. Like, there's no scene with Jack Nicholson and Natalie Portman in the whole film. The conceit is it's a B movie with a massive budget, right?
Yeah.
And if that's the elevator pitch, then I think people would be willing to be in it, especially like Jack Nicholson, who's in it twice. He's like a dual cameo.
Yeah, well, I saw that Jack Nicholson wanted to play every role, and Tim Burton allowed him to play 2. But I mean, the film would have been better if Jack Nicholson was playing every role.
That would be fun, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my concern though is that obviously B movies have a charm that is a result of their lack of budget, and like as much as Tim Burton has like that sort of indie filmmaker spirit, you know, doing unique films, I think that the moment that you have a studio behind it and you have Industrial Light and Magic doing the special effects and you have all these A-list celebrities, film stars doing it, it loses an element of the charm that makes watching B movies so appealing.
Exactly. I mean, if you watch back on I don't know, the Grindhouse thing that was a big thing about 10 years ago.
The Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, but Tarantino's all his movies are this sort of thing, aren't they? They're all like
people are
past.
People are willing to be in his films because of him as a name.
Yeah, and it does work. I mean, he does a good version of a western, of a good version of a martial arts movie.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a Tarantino-esque version of a space invasion B movie. It's just made by Tim Burton, so that it's not quite as punchy. Yeah,
well, I think maybe the problem is that like the part of the charm of watching B movies is the bad special effects, and it is the bad acting and the hammy lines and the scripts.
It doesn't make sense to be punching down to make a B movie.
No,
you
exactly.
To be punching up, right?
And I think it is like it's sort of like it's pitched somewhere between like Independence Day, which is obviously quite silly in its premise,
but it also trying to be seriously.
Yeah, but it like takes itself relatively seriously. Like it's presenting its situation in a serious manner.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got something like Airplane, which is
a complete parody.
Yeah, it's a parody of a B movie, but like every single line has a joke in it.
Yeah. And there's parts of Mars Attacks where it does that.
Yeah.
So, like I said earlier, the nun joke, and then there's various jokes Pierce Brosnan makes, like where he's having the time of his life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Pierce Brosnan is lovely.
He's like, so I've got a breakdown of the ensemble cast here, and I've grouped them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Jack Black, Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, and Sarah Jessica Parker, who are doing like what they need to do.
Yeah.
Like, they've been told, you're in a B movie, just have fun. Then you've got Glenn Close, the Hillbilly Family, the mother and sons, and all the Las Vegas characters who appear to be in like Independence Day.
Yeah.
They're all taking it a bit too seriously. There's no fun to be had with them, really.
Right.
And then you've got Pierce Brosnan, who is like the exact right casting for this, and just gets it completely.
Yeah.
And then you've got Natalie Portman, who, like, why is she in it?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but then also, I think Natalie Portman's character is maybe one of the more effective ones because she is like a affectless teen, and that is just how she's played. And it's like almost like she, in like the airplane version of this movie, she'd be witnessing all these things but have the same reaction to all of it. Like nonplussed about everything,
right?
Which is basically what she does, but it's not as
clear cut, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not as hammy as it would be in something like Airplane. And then you've also got like Michael J. Fox, which I think is a weird character because he is like transplanted out of like Independence Day or like a more serious, like even something like Dawn of the Dead. Like he could be in something like that. That sort of slimy sort of
journalist.
Yeah, journalist character.
Do anything for story kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, there's not really any laughs to be had with his character.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, we've talked it up a bit, but I will concede, reality check time for my 8-year-old self. Yeah. There are some problems with it. And I think for me, it boils down to this, right? And I was doing some research for the last 26 years about the film.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take you long to find out that Mars Attacks is based on a trading card game of the same name from the 60s.
Right.
And these would be sold with bubblegum or whatever. And they were like sci-fi. There was a story to them. So they would be like, I think there was 50 odd in total. And they told the story of the Martians coming to Earth and the fight against the humans. And there was uproar because they were so like violent.
Right.
But they depicted basically the Martians we see in the movie. They were that alien, that design. And they were doing things that we see in the movie. They're kind of like sci-fi horror scenarios. So there's one that was just destroying a dog, where it's just like an alien shooting a dog, and that happens in the movie.
Like, so mothers wringing their hands that their kids are going to start shooting their dog.
Yeah, exactly. But those scenes are played out. Like every single one of these cards, you could say that's in the movie. That's in the movie. So at worst, I would say it's just trying to get these like sci-fi horror things. Just like it's just trying to get from one to the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's got like you could lay out these cards in a row and say that's the start of the film, that's the end of the film.
Yeah, like a storyboard.
Yeah, exactly. Although it is slightly different. The end of the trading card story, it turns out that the Martians are coming to Earth because Mars is going to explode and they need somewhere else to live. So they get forced back and they will die. But
that's a shame.
Slightly different, yeah. Slim Whitman wasn't involved in that ending.
When I'm calling you,
you mentioned Independence Day a couple of times.
And
I think it's interesting. When I was watching this, I was thinking, I thought you were going to come at me and say, you realise this movie is so similar to Independence Day Resurgence.
I mean, it is, but then Independence Day Resurgence takes itself far too seriously in comparison with this.
Yeah.
So, like, it would be a harsh comparison to make for me to be like, oh, how can you hate Mars Attacks how can you hate Independence Day when you love Mars Attacks so much? So, yeah, but there are definitely similarities.
Yeah, exactly. What do we know about the Martians, Chris? Before we talk about how to survive, let's discuss what do we know about what they want. So, they appear to be incredibly cruel. Like, wantonly cruel. They love hurting and they love destroying.
Yeah, arrogant.
Yeah. Yeah, they are arrogant.
In the transmission that gets decoded near the start of the film, there's a reference to dark suede.
Yeah, dark is the suede that mows like a harvest.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is that sort of related to them setting fire to all the cows?
Possibly.
Because it's leather, like dark suede is like
I get you.
So yeah, like I mean,
I think that's a leap. I think it's just meant to be gobbledygook, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's disappointing. As someone who's not watched the film before.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more like it's supposed to show how incompetent the scientists are because their translation machine just comes out with like gibberish.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's like, the president's like, how many centuries was it? Like, because it's just nonsense.
800 centuries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I could be wrong. Maybe there is a reading in it.
It just seemed like an interesting parallel. But
let's break it down. All green of skin. That's them.
Yeah.
800 centuries ago, their bodily fluids include the birth of half-breeds. So
that could mean, is that like saying humans are descendants of Martians 800 centuries ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just go. Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's cool. For the fundamental truth, self-determination of the cosmos, dark is the suede that mows like a harvest.
So maybe it's like, like to understand the cosmos, you have to have a higher intelligence, e.g., giant brains like we have.
Yeah.
Burn all your cows.
Sounds
like
fair.
like a harvest.
Yeah.
Maybe it's. Do you know what it is? I've just solved it.
Yeah.
It's so the Martians created humans.
Yeah.
800 centuries ago.
Half-breeds.
With the intention that they would eventually grow to the point where they could maintain the earth and like agriculturally. So it would be they'd have herds of cows. They'd create like a stock of food and livestock for the aliens to then come and harvest. And the aliens are better because they've got greater intelligence and they understand the cosmos because of their giant brains.
So why are they there? Why are they killing everyone?
Because it's just like it's time now. You know what I mean? It's like it's time for the harvest. So they're there to basically collect all of the cattle.
But they're not. They're killing the cattle. They're destroying everything.
Joe,
what's their motive?
They're there to burn all the cattle.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Don't question it, for God's sake.
So it's
a waterproof theory.
We don't know their motive. They don't like. We can't bring in outside readings, so we can't say Mars is going to blow up. And I don't think it's strong enough to say they just want to burn cattle.
Yeah, no, it's true. I don't know what their motives are. That's the answer.
Just baddies.
Yeah.
Good, like villains, because they're just baddies. We do know that they are susceptible to bullets to the head. And they are susceptible to Indian Love Cry by Slim Whitman.
Yeah.
When I'm calling you.
Yeah. Now, is it specifically that song, or is it all music?
It would be a guess to say it was anything but that song.
Right.
Because we don't see any other song played that kills them.
So when they tune the radio in, it's the same song?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because this links into... what you're saying about weaponry links into my first How to Survive idea.
Go on.
Which is follow the general's advice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the warmongering general.
Yeah.
Because he's in there as a sort of pastiche of that character who's, quick to fire the nukes and all that sort of thing. But if they'd done exactly what he said, they probably would have survived. Many more of the human race would have survived. Because as we see, the Martians are susceptible to human weaponry.
Sure.
And, it doesn't appear that in a Signs-esque or Independence Day-esque way, the spaceships have any sort of shield. So they could have just bombed all of the UFOs out of the sky and dropped nukes on them and, destroyed the fleet.
Well, we see they try that. There's a scene where they try that and they send out a little probe.
Oh, they set out...
And
it
sucks up the nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
And then he breathes in like a helium balloon.
Yeah, that's true. So it really is the country music is the only way.
Or bullets directly to the head.
Yeah.
Which brings, you're wrong, but I'm right because I say shoot them.
Yeah,
but I say shoot them, engage them in ground combat.
Right, but broadly speaking, I think my advice still stands because his advice is essentially engage them militarily as early as possible.
Yeah.
which the president has the option to do that and chooses not to.
Yeah.
But if he had, then more people would have survived.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think yes, that is also the How to Survive that I've written down as well, which is just barrage, artillery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just destroy them with weaponry, because they, as you say, they are susceptible to human weapons.
Yeah. My second one, Chris. My second thought on how to survive. Behave appropriately for a date.
Okay.
Now,
is this in reference to the press secretary?
Yeah, the press secretary Jerry.
Yeah.
He picks up a girl outside the White House, takes her into the White House, into the Kennedy room. He kisses her, plies her with alcohol, and he puts his finger in her mouth, Chris, before she's even said a word to him. Now,
what? So, people with total speech impediments can't have sexuality.
Well, they can, but they have to give other indications that they're interested.
Well,
other than just like looking blankly and chewing gum.
Yeah. Would you say that getting into his car, going into the White House, going into the room that he opens, sitting on the bed, are those all indicators of consent?
They're indicators of like acquiescence.
Yeah.
She could be heavily under the influence of some medication.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. I mean, the problem is though that obviously the alien is it's an alien underneath.
Yeah.
And it's disguising itself by knowingly operating the levers of seduction, like as to the best of its knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
Like along with its sort of sashaying human walk that it adopts.
Yeah.
It's trying to, like there's no coincidence that it's dressed as a glamorous woman.
Right.
To appeal to a susceptible male human, is it? Like, so it's knowingly operating this, on the level that it's making itself available for seduction.
Yeah.
And so in that context, it is, consenting, because it's like it is sitting down on the bed, like knowing that, knowing the implications of that, because it's using that in order to.
I understand that there's a double bluff sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the difficulty is though, like if I'm Jerry, the press officer, I'm saying, oh, do you want to get in my car? And she gets in the car. I'm like, oh right, so what do you do? Like, why are you here? How's your day been? What's your name? I'm thinking, hello, how are you? I'm thinking, the most basic things.
You're running through the Joe Sherville list of chat-up lines there.
Yeah, I'm just going through, pleasantries, at least. And she wouldn't have said anything. She would have just, blankly looked at him. And he'd be like, oh, this is really awkward because you're not saying anything to me. Should we go in the White House and have sex? And she'd be like, just blankly. You'd think she was mentally ill or, had a, lobotomy or something.
Yeah, no, look, I'm obviously I'm not in any way advocating people assuming consent in any context, but the fact remains that it's the alien is knowingly being coquettish enough to seduce the person or imply that they are being seduced.
Right. What happened? We see her get in the car. We see her get out of the car. There would have been a conversation.
You would assume so, but then...
if he was like, oh, so what do you do for a living? She's like...
Yeah, but it's clearly she doesn't open her mouth because she can't actually... The mask that she's wearing doesn't have a opening.
All right.
Oh, no, it does because he reaches inside it, yeah. But, she can't do that because it would give the game away, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she's keeping coquettishly quiet.
Yeah, weird. It's very, very well played though by the actress in the makeup.
Mate, that's an alien, didn't you? You're not watching the film? That's an alien, mate. Yeah. It's a Martian in a disguise.
Great. Well, so what you're saying? You should not ask for consent or not?
I'm obviously not saying that. No, look.
It's safe every time to say oh, can I get you anything? Would you like a drink? Do you know what I mean? There's just
no, I do know what you mean. Yeah. So what's your summary?
I think that the press secretary could have survived the movie if he had had any level of desire to have a human interaction with this. What was an alien? But
Is there not an implication that by the fact that his job is so stressful that he has to resort to using escorts, is there not an implication that maybe a human connection isn't top of his list?
Possibly, but even an escort would answer the question.
What was the 8-year-old Joe thinking of these scenes? Like, what was it? You know.
Well, you know, the 8-year-old Joe was thinking what Tim Burton wanted you to think, which is, this is a man who's been seduced by what looks like a pretty lady.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
Go on.
In Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit,
Yeah.
where they strap a giant fake female rabbit with makeup on
To the top of the van.
top of the van.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Like, like it's just clumsy. Like, it would be funnier if it was like more obviously clumsy. Like, if it was Airplane, it would be like an inflatable. If it was that airplane version of Mars Attacks, it would be like a sort of inflatable sex doll or something like that, and he's still being seduced by it.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe it worked the other way, but we don't know whether the Martians have two sexes like we do, because when that question gets asked, do the Martians have two sexes like we do? The president just goes like...
that joke hasn't aged well either, has it? Since 1996,
No.
Just the joke being that it's a transgender man who's asking the question.
Yeah, was that what it was? Because
Yeah,
I watched it with my fiance, and she said that's a
sort of offensive by today's moral standards. That's like unfortunate.
It's not even offensive. It's just eyebrow raising. It's like, what's the joke here?
The joke is that in 1996 it was funny merely to show a transgender man.
Right.
I think. I mean, I guess there's a certain play in the sense that this person is asking about. Well, the joke is.
Top of their priority list because they're transgender.
No. I think the joke is that, are you able to definitively ascertain by looking at them that they have more than one gender, and it's being asked by an androgynous person,
right,
who is operating between the lines of clearly apparent gender.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? That person is has both male and female characteristics, and they're saying, are you able to, at the mere sight of these aliens, identify whether or not they have more than one gender?
Right. That's quite a good joke.
Yeah, but then the eyebrow raise and the way in which it's used, I think, is cheaper than that reading of it.
Because Jack Nicholson may as well look at the camera and go like, who let this guy in?
Yeah.
Or girl, we don't know.
Well, yeah. He's presenting as a transgender man, isn't he?
Is he?
Well, it must be a female. It must be a female actor in drag.
Must it?
Yeah, I think so.
Reverse drag?
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in this one. Any more thoughts on how you'd survive the movie?
Yeah, I was thinking if you transposed it into the modern day, it'd be much easier. Obviously, you got Bluetooth speakers.
Yeah.
Streaming services. The Martians would be in trouble basically because you could every person. There's also that I think it's Samsung Galaxy thing that they were pushing through adverts at some point where you can sync up everyone in the room's phones to stream the same track at the same time. So you're creating like a giant speaker,
right?
Because everyone's phone in the room is playing the same tune.
Creepy.
Which I swear no one has ever used.
I didn't even heard of it.
It's weird idea. But there was definitely the TV adverts were like, a sports team and getting themselves psyched up. They all get out their Samsung phones and they're all streaming the same tune.
Right.
Just use one speaker and play it loudly.
Don't
use like 15 shit speakers.
Yeah.
So the Martians would be in trouble if it was set in the modern day, I think.
Yeah.
But
is it on Spotify? Indian Love Call?
I don't know. I mean, check Spotify.
Should we have a look? Okay. Indian Love Call. Here we go. Yep. Here it is. There it is.
So that's streaming from Spotify.
Yeah.
Other streaming services are available.
This is me safe. I've got this on my phone.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it to hand. How long did it? I mean, How long did it take you to get that up?
Like 3 seconds.
Yeah, there you go. You'd be fine. If that was the known way of dealing with the Martians.
Yeah. It's like washing your hands after you go to the toilet.
It's
so easy.
It seems something that they're like sort of naturally allergic to, or unable to deal with. Yeah. So until they went away and got some sort of soundproofing technology, it'd be a foolproof way of dealing with them.
Yeah.
But then also, obviously, we see Pierce Brosnan and Sarah Jessica Parker's characters getting dismembered, but they stay alive. Now, that's the sort of technology that we could use. So I think that if, as a human, at the end of the film, I'd be looking to salvage some of the Martian technology. Yeah. Much in the same way as in Independence Day Resurgence, we see that the Martian technology has led to huge technological advances. Yeah. I think, imagine, if your body was broken in a car accident or whatever, but the technology existed to just take your head off.
And put you on a chihuahua.
Yeah, or just keep you alive as a head.
Yeah,
like people might choose that as a way of life, to be just a head floating in a jar or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you get all sorts. But anyway, that's basically my idea, is that you could salvage some Martian technology, and learn.
Also, so for the better survival after the movie.
And
this is maybe the first time we've said like
how
when
could
the credits roll, how could you survive after that?
Exactly, yeah. How could you better the human race?
Yeah, fair point. My final one, Chris, is more of a précis of the actions and the thoughts of Professor Donald Kessler. Now, we're told that Donald Kessler is the head of astronautics at the White House.
Is that like aeronautics but in space?
Exactly, yeah. Now, here's some things that he does which are questionable. First of all, the translation machine is far from perfect, as we've seen.
Yeah.
Because it spits out gobbledygook. It may not be gobbledygook, but it's clearly gobbledygook.
For all intents and purposes, it is gobbledygook,
Yeah. So there's one failure. It then falls victim, throughout the film, to the logical fallacy of leaping to conclusions, doesn't he? Because he's got the anatomical poster, and he says, this big brain means that they're telepathic.
Yeah.
That's not true. We don't see
we see no evidence of that,
for the whole film. It's not like they go, right, let's make that joke pay off now. It's just nothing. So that's wrong. He assumes they're peaceful, even though they're obviously moving in attack formation.
Yeah, you don't see many peaceful formations.
No. Exactly. And that's basically it.
I mean, they send one scout vessel initially. That would be the behaviour of a peaceful race, wouldn't it? To send one ship.
Yeah, a dignitary.
Yeah,
the ambassador.
Yeah. But they don't do that. They surround the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Donald Kessler is a scientist, the head scientist of aeronautics, astronautics at the White House, which is apparently a thing. But he's not a good scientist, is he? He seems incapable of using the scientific method.
Yeah, I think maybe he's just an idealist, so he'd like to believe that they are peaceful, and that that desire and that belief is so strong that it mars his judgment.
Fine, I'm not. If he's being a bit philosophical about it, that's fine. He's like,
I'm not excusing it. He's
wrong.
Yeah, his miscalculation results in the deaths of thousands of people, if not millions.
That's fine,
but
that's forgivable because, like you say, he's an idealist. But the point I question is this: how did he jump to the conclusion that they're telepathic? Because he's never seen any animal with a big brain and gone, it's big enough to have telepathy.
Yeah, that is true. Is that a survival tip though? In what way is that going to help?
Well, don't jump to conclusions.
Right, I see. So but that's more general advice, isn't it? But you were using that as evidence to back that, the fact that he does it up.
So the proof, in the movie, don't jump to conclusions and you'll save humanity.
Yes.
In real life, don't jump to conclusions and you'll save humanity.
Sure.
It's just it's a good thing to do.
That is true. Fair enough. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Well argued.
Thanks, mate. With that in mind, I haven't got any more to say about this film. Have you?
No, we should get 8-year-old Joe Sherville on the
Yeah.
podcast at some point.
I'll see if he's available. I'll
Yeah.
talk to my.
Will you show this film to
pals.
your kids when?
I don't see why not, but I don't think they'd be interested. They'd have all sorts of
No.
They'd have like Jason 15 or something.
Hmm.
Actually, I mean, generally speaking, we haven't had a new Jason canon movie, have we? In the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm in the next 15 years, you'd imagine I've had kids. So
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
So by the time the next one comes out, you might.
I might be taking my baby to see.
Well, you might be taking your 15-year-old.
Yeah. As a thought.
Sobering thought.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week, Joe?
Getting a vasectomy. Well, next week is Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to take another run at that?
Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant.
Yeah. Alien Covenant, the new Ridley Scott movie.
I've seen the posters for this, where it says director of The Martian.
Well, and Alien.
And Alien, yeah. It says and Alien, but it's The Martian's like top billing.
Yeah, that's weird. The only poster I've seen for this is an incredibly effective one, I think, which is just the maw of the xenomorph,
Right.
and there's no text on the poster other than simply the word "run."
Yeah, I've seen that. That's good.
I think there's another one which says "hide" as well, which is a
Okay.
slightly different shot.
I've got the bus poster one where it's Ellen Ripley, it's facsimile.
And she's like hiding around a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have seen more than one, you liar.
I didn't say I'd only
You
seen
said
one.
you'd only seen one ever.
I've only seen one poster ever. Yeah, so Alien Covenant, we're going to, cover that. So it'll come out about, a week or so after the film comes out. So, a good chance for you to see it beforehand and then, check it out in the cinema and then listen to the podcast because it's sure to be an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
You're going to watch Prometheus beforehand, Joe?
Yeah, I'm, at the moment, mate, I'm pro-Metheus. Ask me tomorrow, I might be anti-Metheus.
Email in howtosurviveshow@gmail.com or tweet at howtosurvivepod. Yeah, good. Looking forward to that. Alien Covenant. Hopefully it won't be really shit.
Yeah. Do you think it will?
I'm on the record of saying that I have a strong feeling that it's not going to be very good.
I think you said it's going to be piss.
No, I said it was going to be wank, which is very different.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's more of a fear. Like I feel like I'm sort of is emotional bet hedging.
Right.
I'm more. It's more that I'm worried that it is going to be like that.
Okay.
My
you can't be disappointed if your hopes aren't.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't have your expectations
Exactly.
if you don't have any to begin with.
Well, I mean, like, listen, we're both Southampton football club fans. Now we're well practiced in the in the department of
Managing your expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So check that out in a couple of weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you indeed. See you. Goodbye.